Hey, it's Lee, the outside professor. So I'm out here in my backyard this morning where I love to sit out sometimes. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I'll just come out here and maybe get some tea, listen to the birds, other animal sounds. I'm in a suburb here, so there's a lot of other noise, traffic, depends on which way the wind's blowing, dogs barking. But there's a lot you can learn about wildlife just sitting out here and noticing what's going on, even in a setting like this. So I know a lot of people think to become an expert in understanding nature and wildlife, you have to be in a wilderness or remote setting, but that's not actually true. And in fact, I just did a podcast with a friend of mine, George Buman, who wrote a book called Eavesdropping on Animals. He's an expert in animal language. And he goes into great detail in his book about all the things that you can do just right outside your doorstep and how much you can learn about nature. And regardless of whether you have planes flying overhead like I do right now, I'm right here on a flyway, there's so much going on that you can learn. And then when you do go to a remote setting, you go somewhere in the bush or deep in the forest, you're going to be so much better prepared. So I'll give you a couple of examples. I teach class in bird language at a couple of universities, and the last 2 mornings I came out, was having some tea, just sitting on my porch and just paying attention, listening to some of the birds, but also watching. And I saw a couple of movements. I just dropped my kids off at school. Saw the doves fly off suddenly, some other birds take off over here, grackles depart. And then suddenly I heard a blue jay making a jeer call over and over and over again. And so started just watching, paying attention. And then not too long after that, I saw a squirrel get up on the roof of a nearby building and start doing an alarm with his tail. Then suddenly I heard a cacophony of jays up in a tree, right back over here actually. And I saw them surrounding something. They do a shape called a parabola or an umbrella. And so I just zeroed in on that, and sure enough, took me a while to find it because it was hidden, but back in there was a Cooper's hawk, and it just made a kill. I'm not sure what bird that was. I couldn't see very well, and I watched it eat it up in the tree. And so those birds are actually hard to see. Long before I started doing this, I don't know if I'd even seen a Cooper's hawk 20 years ago. I'm sure I had, but I didn't recognize them because they're very stealthy. And I never would have seen this bird if I had just been out doing a normal birding walk, trying to use binoculars. But because I was paying attention and listening to the signs around me, just like indigenous cultures all over the world, Native Americans did here, I was able to find him or her very quickly. Well, the next morning, and right now, this is in the fall, we have a big migration of raptors coming in. So I'm seeing the birds every morning now, and even during the day, late yesterday, I saw all kinds of disturbances, bird alarms, and that's because there's more raptors coming in. And I don't even have to see the raptors, I just know that they're here. So I was dropping my kids off again yesterday morning, and suddenly I heard this same cacophony of blue jays and some other birds. I echolocated, went over there, and again I saw a Cooper's hawk who had made a kill in the tree and was eating a white-winged dove. And I know it was a white-winged dove because I went underneath the tree. I didn't have my camera with me, unfortunately, but I went back and got it, and then I found some feathers right under his perch, and I could see where a couple of them were broken and sheared off, and it was a white-winged dove. And so 2 mornings in a row, and the only thing I did, I never saw the hawk flying, but I was just paying attention to what was going on around me, listening to the birds, watching their movements. They have specific patterns. I talk about this in my bird language course, which will tell you not only that there's trouble or a predator around, but it will also tell you what animal, whether it's an aerial predator, a ground predator, and even more specifically, sometimes almost down to the species level. So this also works, though, not just for birds, but animal language, and my friend talks about that in the podcast. They will tell you other kinds of predators as well. For example, you can learn to distinguish coyote calls. and whether they're denoting the presence of a mountain lion in the area, a wolf. Even when wolves are howling, they have specific calls as well and sounds. And all these other animals actually are listening as well. They all know the language. There's other birds that will alarm, like crows and ravens when they found a kill. And so you can learn this, but again, you don't have to do it in a wilderness setting. And when you do that, it does two things. One, it makes it much easier for you to see wildlife, observe wildlife, and know what's going on. And then the second thing it does is it really facilitates nature connection. Even again, right where you live. You don't have to go to a wilderness. I come outside every day with my kids, and without exception, we find something every time. Some animal sign, something that tells a story, and you can see that connection that's going on, where nature's not just out there anymore. It's not just information or facts. It's something that's inside you, because we're animals too. Obviously, we have all of our senses, which are vastly underused this day and age. But even if you are deficient in one of those senses, you can actually then learn to tune in more to what you have left, whether it's your eyesight, ears, smell, whatever it is. Or you can lean on other senses and become really attuned to those, because you have to depend on them more. And when you learn to do that, like I just heard a dove take off right here, okay? And he didn't do a wing whistle, but I just know I heard the flap of wings and the way he just darted. It's very likely a bird alarm going around me. There's another dove that just flew right over here and it's going at a high rate of speed. I just heard over here, that sounded like a squirrel chatter. So very likely right now, there's an alarm going on for a hawk right now. The squirrel just ran down the tree right here. He was at the top of the tree, probably looking, and now he's waving his tail. He's running along the fence, and there goes his tail. So there's something going on right here behind me, or all around this area. And so when you learn this, you not only get nature connection like that, but you can take it with you everywhere. And it doesn't matter whether you're walking in a park, going out just for a stroll with your family, your kids, or friends, wherever you are, you will get so much more out of nature. And you also begin to understand animals at a much deeper level. And if you want to look at it from the standpoint of have empathy for them in terms of, hey, this is what it's like to be, a bird that's being predated upon by a hawk. Or, this is how tough it is for a particular animal, a bear, an armadillo, whatever it is, to find food and the threats that they face. We have it pretty easy nowadays, certainly where I live in terms of food and water, but animals don't. Right now, we may be starting a little bit of a mini drought period where I am. That makes it really tough on birds to find water. It's really hot around here right now, and other food. So you just get to understand all of that. And then the best part, I think, beyond the nature connection, is you get to understand and actually predict their behavior. You get to know where they're going to be and what they're likely to do in a given situation, time of year, whatever the circumstances are. And one of the ways I equate it to that was years ago when I used to play sports. I kind of learned that. When I would be playing something like basketball, I would go down and I would try to be running a particular play and have no idea what's going on, but I'd start observing. And over time, I'd start learning, oh, when I did this, this happened. Or this other player over here did this. And then I would start to say, oh, I responded this way. That wasn't the right response, or that wasn't the place to look. And bird language, bird behavior, animal behavior, it's the same thing. At first, it'll just seem like you have no idea what's going on. It can be overwhelming, but then you start to piece it together. You get a clue here, a clue there, and then all of a sudden you start getting a story out of that, and you start understanding. And that's the best part, when you actually start understanding, because understanding is two things. It's knowledge, which is what you can get from a book, but it's also experience, which is really just being out there. And once you start getting that, things just start unfolding. And the great news is, even just like a sport, when you learn something, a particular skill or a type of play, you never actually finish. There's always more to do, and that's absolutely 100% true in nature. when you're learning about wildlife and even beyond wildlife, whether it's plants or just understanding the seasons, changes, it's infinite. It really is. Okay, so the great thing about this journey is that don't get overwhelmed at first, just start. You'll start getting benefits right away. But when you start doing this over a long period of time, the story never ends. It's great. It just keeps unfolding. You keep learning. You keep getting wowed. There's more to add to it. So I would encourage you to start today. Just start right in your backyard, wherever you are. Even if you're in an urban area and you happen to have a balcony, right? Or maybe you have an upstairs terrace on the rooftop. Just go out and start paying attention. You'll start learning right away. I've done that. I've had an office in the city and I've seen amazing bird behaviors right there. Hawk attacks, peregrine falcons, right there on like the 17th floor of a building. So you can do it anywhere. So start today. It's great for not only nature connection, but it relaxes you. It's a great way to start your day. Even if you do other practices in the morning, you're reading or some kind of spiritual practice or some kind of exercise, just spend a few minutes and it will change your day and you will get so much out of it that will benefit you going forward. So, and you can also share it with your friends and family. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Again, check out our other offerings and podcasts and other information on our website that'll help get you started. Our courses if you're interested. But start tuning into nature and I can promise you it's a good addiction. You'll never stop and it's something you can do for your lifetime.